Hey everybody, welcome to another video. Today I want to talk about Kmart. Maybe to some extent Sears, but mostly Kmart and Kresge's. Like I said in my videos where I was talking about the Batman and Spider-Man toys in the 70s. If you grew up at that time, I mean, this is before Target existed. I think it's before Walmart existed. I don't really know the history of Walmart. I don't know exactly. I mean, I'm sure it started like back in the, the dark ages like everything else did. But I mean, is some store selling products on the street corner in some New York town with cobble street, some weird thing like that. And of course, and it's become the mecha giant that it is today, whatever. But, when at this particular time, I had no idea Walmart even existed. I heard Woolworths. And I think there was a Woolworths in Oakland Mall. I know there was a Kresge in Oakland Mall. I heard the name, but we never went there. I don't even know where, outside of maybe being in that mall, I don't even know where that was. But that's the closest thing. I remember Walmart. I didn't even hear about Walmart in the 80s. I think the first time I actually heard the name Walmart and then realized that Walmarts were there, technically it was after even Target opened, because we got a Target in Rochester Hills up there, where the shopping center is. Yeah, you know exactly where that's at. No, anyways, but anyways, we had that up there, and I was in high school, I think like 11th grade, so that was like, 89, 90. That's when the Target was built, and that was the first time they just started popping up everywhere. Suddenly there's a Target everywhere. But, that was new. And I know the Walmart wasn't where it was at in that area at that time, because there was, I don't even know what was over there, to tell you the truth. I know there was a Kmart over there. No, where it wasn't a Kmart on M59. There was a Kmart down the street. But anyways, we had a Kmart at the top of the hill. So if you've ever been to Rochester, Michigan, you've gone to Rochester Hills, going from downtown Rochester up the hill on Main Street and Rochester Road. Once you get up the hill, you get to Avon. Right there was the Kmart shopping center. It's where the Winchester Mall was. All of that now is just strip malls of, I don't even know what's in there right now, to tell you the truth. I know ABC Warehouse and Hawthorne moved up there. I know they had Dick's Sporting Goods thing still in the end. It's nothing like it used to be. And that, of course, that parking lot was big for the big carnival would come to town in that parking lot, and of course Winchester Mall and all my Winchester Mall stories. But Winchester Mall did exist too at this time, back in the 70s, when Kmart was a big thing, because we used to go in there all the time. But Winchester seemed to became more of a thing once I moved out of downtown Rochester and moved up to the trailer park, because before it was going up to Meadowbrook, because it was farther, but it was easier to get to. That makes sense. And of course Kittyland and all that stuff, and the Great Oaks Mall. I didn't go to Winchester a lot, except for unless my dad or my mom took us up there. It was like kind of a haul. I just didn't feel like riding my bike up that hill to go up to them. It's fun going down, but going up that hill is just a beast. As a kid, look at it. You'd be sitting there downtown going, "Am I going to go up to Kmart in Winchester?" You look at the hill and you're like, "I just don't feel like going up that hill." I used to have lots of weird dreams about trying to ride my bike up that hill and all kinds of. Anyways, so that's where the Kmart went, and it was the place to go. I mean, that was when you went shopping back in the day, just like today. Where you're going to go? You're going to go to Walmart. You're going to go to Target. It's pretty much the only two left. I mean, outside of stuff like Meijer, that's like a regional thing here or whatever, you've got other things in other states or even other countries. I don't even think there isn't even a Target in Canada that I know of. I know they have Walmarts there, I think. I don't even know if they have Walmart there. Anyways, Kmart was huge, and of course, growing up in Michigan, the Kresge Corporation, which is the SS Kresge Corporation, was that was right there down on in Troy. I can't remember, was it off of Big Beaver? Big Beaver, exit 69, dude. Anyways, I think it was, yeah, I think it was off Big Beaver. I know it was over in Troy, Maple Road. Man, I can't remember exactly what road it was, but it was this big office building with this crazy giant gold head out of the front and everything. That was the Kresge building for the longest time until, everything went tits up, and then suddenly it's all gone. But and I didn't know that it even existed until I was an adult, or even like in high school, college. I kind of people kept talking about the Kresge building. The what? The Kresge building. But to me, but like I said, that was the big thing. So Kmart was huge, and I'm assuming they had Kmarts all over the United States. I'm assuming KMarts, as everybody would call it. And I go to Kmarts. It's Kmart. Gonna go to Kmarts. Gonna drive my Fords up to Kmarts. Just love how always people used to always put the S on the end of everything. But anyways, I mean, Kmart, like I said, there's a Kmart here in Bay City that finally went out of business, and as they all did. But towards the end of Kmart, man, I would say the last 30 years of Kmart's existence, man, did it go downhill quick. I mean, like I said, I'm not saying it was the greatest place in the world back in the 70s and early 80s, but I mean, it was definitely the place wherever we went shopping to get stuff. I know, I used to go there to get my Jordache jeans because I carried Jordache jeans, and I always liked to get her cheap too. It's like I think they were like you could get Jordache jeans for like $14.99 back in the late '80s, I for some reason it was just a big jean company. I think eventually, obviously Levi's was big, but Levi's were expensive. Wrangler and Jordache, I think, were like the two cheap jeans to get. And I think there's another one too, says Wrangler and Jordache. But I used to always go up there and get those jeans because they were cheap. Yeah, it was a place. Obviously, the classic stuff, which I think lasted for a while. But I remember the whole big thing was the blue light special. They'd have this little whatever police light, little fire light, on like a stick, on like a cart. And I think they had like the guns. They would keep like the price guns and stuff. This is before computerized anything. They'd keep the price guns and stuff on there with the stickers and everything. That person, the employee, would walk that thing around, and they would load up their guns, and they'd have a list, and they'd have to mark down everything to the sale price, to the blue light special, and then when they're ready to go, they hit the light, and then the light would go on in that particular department, and they'd start marking down. They'd literally just be price gunning all the stuff that's marked down, and it's like everybody'd see that blue light, and it's the blue light special. Everybody would run to that area to see what's on sale. Very, very few times, if not any, did I ever see the blue light ever show up in the toy department. But anyways, so there was that. Of course, there was also the big slush machine, the slush, whatever it was, not Slush Puppy. It was like Kmart brand or whatever. I know they had the flick foam Kmart cups with the bubble on them, and you get like the cherry freezy, slushy. I used to call them slushies as a kid. Slushy, get a slushy. I think Slushy is the actual brand, but anyways, and like I said, nothing. There's a few tastes and smells and sights that are just permanently, mapped onto my motherboard in my head, and one of them, of course, outside of the blue light special, was the taste of those. I used to love the cherry one. It's the taste of that cherry slushy, or frozen Coke, whatever you want to call it. And the smell of that, what do you call it? The restaurant, the little grill, the Kmart grill. Now, that went quick. That didn't stick around for very long. And because I remember in the 80s, it was pretty much gone. But in the late 70s, I think maybe like 81, 82, you yanked it out of the Rochester one. I couldn't tell you about the rest of the the Kmarts, the rest of the Kmarts. We go to other Kmart, but not that many. There was one over on Van Dyke that I went to rarely. And in my head as a kid, you know, looking for action figures was the Kmart that you don't normally go to, right? The hidden Kmart, hidden somewhere, you know, and some place, you know, which is not hidden for the people who normally go there, but to you it's hidden. That's where you'd find the, you know, the holy grail of toy, you know. Kmart in Lake Orion, or Lake Orion, if you want to call it that. Anyways, there was the Kmart there. My Uncle Bob actually used to be the general manager of that Kmart in Lake Orion. I think until they let him go for spending too many times smoking pot out the parking lot. Anyways, there's that one. There was the one by Lakeside, which I think became like a sports authority for a long. I don't know what it is now. I think the building's still there. That was a Kmart. There was a Kmart. I can't remember them all in that area, in like the Detroit area. You know, like the North Detroit area, Oakland County area, and Macomb County as well. You know, obviously it was for us. It was the main Kmart there in Rochester, and you know, we'd go there for everything. I mean, we'd go there for clothes. You'd go there for household items. You'd go there for toys. You'd go there for, and my dad and mom would go there, and my grandma loves, my mom's mom. Sure, it was her favorite store. I was like, that's my Kmart. I love my Kmart. That was her store, and we'd go up there with them. We'd go up there with the neighbors, and it was always an event as a kid. I mean, you know, it just seemed that way, and it got less so obviously the older I got. But even still going at like in the '80s, going up there with my dad and stuff. You know, a lot of Star Wars stuff I'd find. That's where I found all the superpowers. If you watch my video on superpowers, there's a lot of different toy lines that I just totally have attached my memory to finding at that particular Kmart. But I couldn't find a lot. I was specifically looking for pictures from like that 70s period, like late 70s, and I found a bunch. They're not very big, so I'll blow them up. There's a bunch of pictures from, I think it was titled 1978, which would be perfect for what I'm talking about. And you'll see the logo, the original logo, which used to be on a lot of the Kmart products, the Kresge logo and the Kmart logo, which changed. I think I did show the one picture that I kind of blew up, and I found another sort of picture of it at night, which kind of is reminiscent of, just makes me think of some of that time. But you can see clearly the restaurant in a few of the pictures, which is kind of interesting, because I had not seen a picture of that, or even, you know, nothing. I've never seen anything of some of these 1978 photographs until just recently when I found them. And I was just like, whoa. I mean, it was like, whoa. Like, you were literally stepped back in time. So let me pull those up. Again, there's not a lot of them, but first let me just pull up, I'll blow them up as best as I can, but first let me just pull up this photo. I know it's not our Kmart, at least I'm pretty sure it's not, but this looks so much like ours, because the reason I say that, and I probably mentioned this before in the other video, is you're up on the hill in Rochester Hills, right? So, and of course, if you went down, like, if you take the T and go that way, that road would have been Avon. Avon has a big hill, and still does today, obviously, but it goes downhill, and the Home Depot that's behind it wasn't there before. I think it was just a field, and then they built the one apartment complex back in like the 80s, 70s, 80s at the time. Well, so what I'm saying is, if you were sitting in the parking lot and you looked up at the sign, just like you see the picture there, you wouldn't see hills or anything. It would just be blue sky if it was a nice day like this. Because there's nothing over there. And so it's just funny, because a lot of times you see pictures of stores from other cities or other states, you're like, oh, it looks a lot like mine, and then you'll see like a mountain behind it. We don't have mountains in Michigan, but you'll see a mountain, but it's in San Fernando Valley. It's like, oh, that's definitely not Michigan. Um, you'll see something else, and it always throws it off. But this picture just so looks like walking up to Kmart back then, at that time period, the one in Rochester. I know it's kind of weird, but that's what I was thinking of. And the thing I was telling a buddy of mine, I showed this to him, I said, do you remember the carousel, that little, like, penny-operated carousel right there at the front of the... He was like, vaguely. And I go, yeah, I said, I totally remember that. They pulled that probably right around the time they... pulled the restaurant, but... And I don't know when they pulled the slushy machine, the frozen Coke. I think you get pretzels there and stuff, too. I don't know when they pulled that. That seemed to be around for a while, like into the 80s. Because it always had that, like I said, I think you could smoke in there, too, because they had ashtrays and stuff. So that's the thing, is you'd walk into this place back in, like, 1978, and you'd hear, like, from thing, it'd be packed. It'd be tons of people. You go on a weekend, it's just wall-to-wall people in there. And you go in there and you get to see that lighting and that track lighting on the ceiling. As a kid, you're always looking around, you see that lighting on the ceiling, and then it just smelled like, everything would just smell like cigarette smell. Everything smelled like a bowling alley. And then you'd smell that slush puppy, the slush puppy, the frozen Cokes and the pretzels and all that stuff on that little, that little area. And then you'd smell the restaurant. Like I said, you're just back then, it was just going into, for one thing, you'd just come out of the parking lot. And if it was the winter time, or even, if it was warm weather, all the cars were carbureted. So, and a lot of them ran on regular gas at the time. So just being in the parking lot, you could just, you just smell all the carbon monoxide, or, from everybody's exhaust. And so that smell would be in you. And then you'd go into the store, and then you'd be hit with the cigarette smell. And then you'd be hit with, the smell of all the other smells and stuff in there. So, like I said, I'm part dog, so every time my nose is one of my big things, I kind of, I perceive the world through my sniffer. That's why I smell everything. Every time I get something, ooh, it's shiny. Oh, that smells like, actually, it smells like Upper Deck tray sports cards. That's what that smells like. Yeah, and they always have the carts out there. Mom would always say, "Well, go get a cart," and then you'd come up, and then you'd go into the magical store, because you probably were going to get a toy, and you're going to go to the toy section, even if it was a Batman flashlight. You probably would get a toy. Here's the old Kmart with the gold. They would always have this, with the gold behind it, the Satisfaction always, and then the SS Kresge's, and then this used to be the Kresge symbol, the SS Kresge symbol, company symbol. And my sister had a tennis racket that I think they got. It was made by Kresge Corporation. I remember the bottom of the handle. It had a little plastic, and it had that symbol. I don't know how many little flashlights. I wish I could find some online pictures of them. All these little, all these like little flashlights were just, I don't know why we had so many flashlights, but they had like the little blue flashlights, like the one that has like it was like a gun almost, not like a gun, but it was like blue. You put 2 big D batteries in it, or C batteries, and then you put this like white top to it on it, and then it had that sticker, the Kresge symbol on it, and then it had like a trigger, and it had a the light with the little flash, whatever it is, the little cone, and you would just squeeze it, and it was like a little gun light you'd use to look around, find stuff with, and then they had little ones where you had to press it. So they had a lot of Kresge stuff like that. I remember the cups that you'd get the frozen Cokes. They had that symbol on it, the little Kresge symbol. Like I said, that was just, I haven't seen that in forever. Like I said, the Kresge's stores around us, we had the one in North Hill Shopping Center right around the block from our house when we moved into that house. And Winry, And we go there all the time. That Kresge had been there for a while because my mom worked there in high school in the late 50s, early 60s, and so there's that's sort of been there for a while. It probably I would say it's probably from the 50s. It opened up in the 50s, most likely. Maybe the 4. I don't know. I don't know the true history of. This isn't a history of Kmart video. I guess you could just look that up if you really want to know the history of Kmart. But mine's more. I want to just talking about a specific time period of Kmart because I don't think there's any left. And of course, this is also way before Kmart turned into like the Super K, where it was like more like Walmart, where you had food and other stuff like that. The only thing they had food related they had back then was, of course, they had the little restaurant. I think for a while they sold like snacks and stuff. They had like a couple of aisles of chips and things like that. But for the most part, they didn't have like a lot of food items. Like there's no produce and stuff at like a Super K. Yeah, see some of these. So these are the pictures from that 1978. Now that looks right. That looks exactly, because I remember the numbers, and they might have still had the numbers for a while, but they had the numbers. I remember they had mannequins there, that creepy yellow paint. Like I said, always these track lights on the top. And this, like I said, the front, I guess they call them cash wraps. All this stuff up here, this is like, you could find everything. I remember they just had like one of these bins was filled with Star Wars figures. This is where literally like they had like Kiss albums right up here that you could. Don't forget to buy some Kiss albums on the way out. All kinds of stuff was up here. You get a lot of those rack toys that were up here. Yeah, and you had these little numbers, and of course, yeah, there's customer services over there. This was definitely not our store because it looks like the front door is right there. And our front door, if this was our Kmart, our front door would be on this side. And then you'd have the registers. And then on the other side of the register, I can't find a good picture of where the frozen Cokes things, but ours would be right across from there was the frozen Coke section. So our customer service, which is just this little booth, was on the other side by the door when you walked in. And that's where like the carts were. But you did, if you went to the end there, I remember this was... I can't remember what was in that corner, but they had like this. It was all like wood paneling and like plaid carpeting, and then you had this like always like overly buffed linoleum floor with that kind of color to it. Look at these little jerks. There they are. They're at the. This is at the food. What do you call it? The grill. The Kresge grill that was in there. Like she got herself a. What the heck is this? An orange sickle. Looks like he's got an scoop of ice cream, scoop of vanilla. He's got his plaid, little going back to school pants on. This is it. This is what it looked like. I remember all the orange and yellow and red. I don't know if I show the big like fake glass, plasticky, orangey looking like ornate things around the ceiling. I don't remember. This looks like a very self-serve here, like with chips and everything. I remember that kind of, but I remember we'd just sit down and I remember we'd order our food. It was almost like fast food. You'd go and you'd order it, and you had the tray and stick the tray on there. And it wasn't like a buffet, but you would grab like your dessert and stuff, just like Ponderosa kind of at the time, which was in the parking lot of this Kmart. And then you would take that tray back to the table with the number on it, and then you'd wait. And I usually just bowl through the Jello, and my mom would get mad. Or the Jello tilts, the whipped cream and the Jello. My mom would get mad. You're supposed to save that, and then you had the number, and then they would bring out your burgers and hot dogs and fries or whatever. It wasn't gourmet cooking, but it was a grill. I mean, it was grill food, and there was the grill. You could smoke in there. I remember a lot of people smoking. This looks more from the 60s, this picture here. Well, maybe it is 78. Maybe it's church. It's Sunday. It's probably Sunday, and all the old people at the time were probably all dead now. They were all, getting their food. Yeah, you'd order it. Ponderosa did the same thing. You'd order your food and you'd get like all your peripherals, and then you'd take it back. Again, there's the nice little J or PNG of the symbol. This is a good picture. Okay, so yeah, there was that gold sign that would always be up there. Kmart. Those pants. It's like my dad. Anyways, this is how it was. Yeah, you'd come in the doors and it was just jam-packed with people, tons of carts, all this product, just stacks of product everywhere. And there's just so many, I remember there's so many toys and stuff we found. And, you know, my mom, of course, was all into knitting and stuff. Just be stacks of yarn, different color yarn, lots of thatch hook kits. And I remember the thatch hook kits everywhere. Oops. Wait, is that at the end of the rope with the pictures here? Oh, sorry, I gotta go the other way. Yeah, so there it is. You can see it back there. It looks a lot smaller. You know, I don't know how big ours was really, but thinking about ours, I mean, ours was in the very back of the store. Just if you go down the main aisles to the back. It was back there, and it was probably that big. It just, as a kid, I'd think that it would just be this enormous place. But I used to think it had this really high ceiling, like went way up there. But I realized our Kmart it was only a single level, and it was, I mean, it was a high, it was like Walmart's got a high ceiling, right? It was more like, I think even Target has a higher ceiling. The ceilings weren't that high. But to me as a kid, I thought this place was just enormous back there. But there's that gold, or that like orangey kind of fake plasticky stained glass 70s waka chicka that's everywhere over there. I love that. Oh, I love that stuff. And then those lamps that would hang down. Not just these lights here, but see that lamp back there? It would hang down over like the tables and stuff. Oh, I loved it. You know, you had your sporting goods sections, and our toy, if that was the restaurant, our toy section was over here to the right, kind of like in the middle. Oh, it may have been against the wall at one time, because remember, they always move things around. I know over here with the clothing department, that's where the photo booth was, and I've got them in my photo collection. There's a bunch of where I'm in a little sailor suit, you know, and they'd get a lot of those pictures and stuff. My mom would always be getting pictures of me as a kid. Those little pictures that you'd get there, the little photo booth over there. But yeah, that thing back there, that's the grill back there. It just brings us such crazy memories of going to that thing. Because like I said, it was a day. I mean, let's say it's Saturday, or whatever. My dad... This was like when my parents were together, let's say in 1978. This was a common weekend, as far as that would include Kmart. Saturdays we get up, watch cartoons, right? After cartoons, this is before my dad and mom got divorced. Remember I told you when my parents got divorced, my dad would always go shopping at Chatham. We'd go down to Kittyland and stuff. Not so much back then. Back then we'd all go bowling. Over at the North Hill Lanes, which I don't know if it's still there or not. We'd always go bowling over there. And like I said, that was another one of those sounds and sights places. You go to a bowling alley, especially back in the 70s, and you walked in and you'd hear that clang, just those, you know, big 500-pound, you know, Fred Flintstone out there with giant knockwurst fingers with the holes drilled, you know, the size you could stick your whole wrist in that giant bowling ball. And he's out there and he got that spin, and he'd shove that. Some of those guys would throw that ball so darn fast, and you'd think it'd just obliterate the wall in the building. Bam! Just pins go flying everywhere. And you'd see that, and you'd see all the hands, you know, all the hands on the scoreboards and stuff over there. And then of course just a haze of cigarette smoke. Yeah, so you'd have that, right? That would be your first, you know, what do you call it? First wall of just sound and smells that you would hit on a Saturday morning. After we'd bowl a few games, then we'd all go up to Kmart, and then you get hit with more cigarette smoke. At the time, incidentally, my dad did smoke, but not specifically at that time. My parents weren't smoking at the time, so when So we didn't, like, the car didn't smell like cigarette smoke unless somebody came over who smoked. Our house didn't smell like smoke. So when you smelled cigarette smoke, to me it would hit me like, whoa. I get that feeling, although nobody smokes anymore, but I smoked for 20 years, and when I quit smoking, after about maybe 5 years, when I would smell that smell, it took me 5 years of basically getting it out of my system before I would get that smell when I go to a place and people are smoking. I was like, whoa, it would just hit me just like it would hit me back then. It actually turned me, I was like, I didn't like it. I didn't like that. It's like, geez, even though I smoked for 20 years, once I stopped, I really couldn't stand smelling it. But, you know, that was right before they stopped smoking in restaurants, and that now everybody's vaping or whatever now. Yeah, and see how many people are there? That's what an average Saturday looked like at Kmart. It's packed, just tons of people out shopping. And it was, like I said, it was just this big event. It was like this thing to do. You know, I just went my weekend haul this weekend, and we did go over to Target, and the Target was popping, so it wasn't super busy, but there was people there. But it just, I don't know, it just doesn't have the. I see this picture and it's like, man, that was just, I don't know, for some reason, don't ask me why I'm, you know, fantasizing about 1978 Kmart, but for some reason, just, I don't know, it's just the clothes on people, the lights, the way everything is, you know, like these little kids here. Those kids aren't even wearing a shirt over here. You got a naked kid over here. This kid's just wearing a diaper. I don't know if that's the case, but anyways, I mean, that's little me, you know, with my mom or whatever walking around there. Sorry. Here's some people. Oh, she's a cutie. Anyways, this was the yeah. I mean, it was packed, and like I said, it was all. I mean, there wasn't any scanning, anything like that. You literally had to pick up the item, read it, and they always had these shirts. It's funny because here in Bay City, when I worked at Sears briefly, there was a woman there who was celebrating like her whatever. She was retiring, and she had worked there since like I think it said she started working at Sears, but she said she's also worked for Kmart as well. This is before they merged. Anyways, but you could wear she could wear her Kmart shirt thing, and she would still wear it. Like, to her, that was like her going to work every day with her giant poodle hair, was wearing her smock shirt thing or whatever, because she had been wearing it since like I think it's like 68 or 69. She started working there, and she was retiring. This was like in 2013, 2014, right about the time the store closed. Anyways, she was wearing that. It's just funny. It's just, you still see those shirts and stuff, and like nobody wears those anymore. I don't know. I mean, did they wear those at Kmart? I remember they had red ones though. They weren't blue anymore. I think the blue ones look better. But yeah, so you got these. You get their paper bag. There wasn't plastic bags back then. You get everything wrapped up in a paper bag. Like I said, there was no, and if you wanted to use a credit card, oh geez, you had to pull out the thing with the and do up the credit card information. Most people were writing with checks. They'd be there writing their check, or paying with cash or whatever. But look how busy that. I mean, it's just crazy. And here's the thing, you could tell this is definitely not modern times. Look how many registers they got. 1 through 12? 12 aisles. It's busy. It's probably a Saturday, most likely. All 12 aisles have a person there because people worked back then. And you could employ, I mean, she looks like a high school girl, probably, or college girl. This woman's a little older. She I don't know, she'd go either way. Anyways, yeah, you got, look at little Robin Zander over here from Cheap Trick. Anyways, so yeah, but it's packed, and there's a person, and there's not only a cashier, there's also a person helping bag all the way down the line. Um, yeah, you don't see that anymore. Though, like I said, you go to Meijer or whatever. Like when I go to Meijer to go shopping, it's like they've got like 15 aisles open, and it's busy, and they've got the blinds going back, and they got the manager out there trying to be like the football coach, trying to call the plays where you're gonna go, and it's like you got 15 registers open. Like there's 4 open, and it's Saturday and it's packed. It's just like, employ more people. Nobody wants to work, so it's hard to get people to work those jobs anymore. But I'm just trying to look what we got back in the background here. I don't know what that is over there. I know they sold, like ours, we had, I think this, it eventually ended up front was like our electronics section, but we did have this type of thing too, where it kind of jutted out and it was covered, and that was our electronics section, which had like the TVs and radios and all that stuff, and record players and everything. And of course, like it says records back there, so that was very much like ours. And they had the record section, and then in the record section you could buy your needles for your, I used to always have to go there, or Kresge. We'd usually buy our needles for our record players. Or get some 8-track tapes while you're back there. I know we had our toy section was kind of back here-ish. But yeah, I'm just looking at theirs back here. I don't know what that says. What's it say up there? Does it say, almost look like greeting cards or whatever. I don't know what that says up in the corner there. But like I said, ours was different. Ours, if you took this, well, this is more like ours, yeah. And like I said, I thought I could see they don't have a frozen Coke machine right behind the registers. If that's register 1, I'm assuming customer service is right there, or it's over there. Usually it's right, ours was right behind it, but I don't see it there. I love this picture. This picture I like a lot. It does remind me of, there's the carousel, so it's right around the same time. And again, there's no mountains back there. It kind of looks like our Kmart. Yeah, it just, going there at night and coming out there like twilight or whatever, I don't know. There's a lot of that. As I said, we usually go there in the afternoon when it's bright out. I remember going there when it was raining out too, of course, but. And that looks like the grill back there. If you walk all the way straight back, you go back to the grill. Like I said, the site I got this off of, it said 1978, so I'm assuming most of these pictures are 1978. I think that's the last of the pictures, the logo there. There may have been more pictures on here. I have to look. Like I said, this is the type of stuff I love seeing. I love seeing these pictures. And I would love to... If you guys got links or you have pictures in any of these stores that I talk about, you've got pictures of those time periods specifically. I know you can go on videos and watch like video footage of like the 90s, people shopping for electronics in Kmart. That's fine too. I mean, I like that stuff. But we're really, like I said, Kmart was just, it was an institution, if you will. I mean, I don't even think, everybody talks about Walmart and people going to Walmart, all the hillbillies in their pajamas, and you see all the freaks at Walmart and stuff like that. And none of that was, I mean, maybe that happened back then, but people weren't dicks like they are nowadays. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm sure they were, but I mean, for the most part, it's just people. Like I said, this is all just middle-class people when they was a middle class. And that's, again, that kind of, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I was watching a documentary, and they said something that really, like, hit me. And, like, they were talking about, like, malls closing, too, and they were talking about some other stuff, too. Actually, I was watching 2 separate videos that had nothing to do with each other, and they both mentioned one of the biggest causes to why those things were no longer a thing anymore was because of the essentially the middle class being wiped out. And it's right. I mean, Kmart existed, and they were that busy on a Saturday, and that's how the people were, and they were just people. I mean, sure, some people might have been rich, some people might have been well off, some people might have been poorer, poorer, lower class or whatever. But I mean, for the most part, people weren't that far off from each other. I mean, sure, there were like mega mansions, which look like dollhouses today, of like in Rochester Hills. People had a lot of money and stuff. They had these bigger houses, but they weren't. They had a bigger house. They might have had a swimming pool, and they might have had a Corvette, or something like that. They weren't really, but they still ate, spaghetti dinners. They all ate at the grill at Kmart. I mean, they were. I'm sure there was people out there who would hold their nose up. It's like, I'd never go into a Kmart. It's like maybe in like California, New York, people were like that. But in like the Midwest, everybody was the same for the most part. There's no Whole Foods. There was no keto this. There was no, organic this. It was all just stuff. And if you wanted to get a hot dog and a hamburger and some fries, you went to the Coney Island. You went to the Kmart grill. I don't care if you were driving a Corvette, you're driving a Corvair, or a Chevette. You just went and got stuff. And it wasn't like the class system. I mean, everybody, like I said, again, some people's parents had better jobs. Some people were more well-to-do than the other ones. It's usually, like I said, I always assumed the rich kids had like the rich kid toys. But I mean, you weren't really that far off from each other. I mean, everybody was pretty close. So places like this could thrive, and and I'm not saying that they had, really nice product back then, but people also weren't as persnickety back then, it seemed like, about stuff. If you needed a pair of jeans, just go up to Kmart and get some jeans. You weren't made fun of in school because you got your jeans at Kmart. It's just the way it was. It's funny because I was watching, there was a video with, what's his face, Ace Frehley. Let's talk about Kiss again. Anyways, there was a video with Ace Frehley goes into stores and just acts like a nut, right? And it's funny, it's like he keeps going into Walmart with his wife, and it's just weird. It's just like, I guess Walmart is the closest thing to a Kmart today. Target's a weird place. Target seems to be more a little uppity at Target, and for some reason, it seems like a chick store. It seems like all the women go to Target. Oddly enough, it's always the more attractive girls go to. Like a lot of younger, like college girls, seem like they go to the Target a lot. I don't know why. I just noticed that. If you want to go see some ugly people, go to Walmart, or normal people. If you want to see some better-looking people, a little more well-to-do, go across the street over to Target. It seems that way. But those are the only two places that are as close to something like Kmart. Like I said, most people who watch these videos probably remember Kmart. You probably remember Kmart from this specific time. So hopefully enjoy this. But there might be some younger people that are like, well, what the hell is he talking about? Kmart, that crappy store that went out of business a few years ago? Yeah, that was the store. Like I said, it's funny. My hometown. I mean, I bitched about this in my video about it seems to be nothing ever to do. Is there were a lot of things that you could do as a family, or maybe just part of the family would go, or you'd go with neighbors, or go with relatives, and you'd go bowling. You'd go to Kmart. You'd go to the mall. You could go places in your town and make a weekend out of it, and you could eat, and everything was, relatively affordable for the most part. Every time I've gone out to eat nowadays, it's like, Jesus, it's like you go to McDonald's and or Wendy's, you spend $25 for two people. It's just like, I don't remember my dad. I said my dad didn't have a lot of money. And when my parents were together, my dad worked. My mom, she started working like a part-time job, which became a full-time job once they got divorced. But she really was kind of a stay-at-home mom for the most part. And so my dad, and I remember my dad saying to me like $7.50 an hour working at the hospital back in the 70s. Which minimum wage was probably $2 at the time. So it's like making like 15, 20, $25 nowadays, maybe $25 nowadays. And, you know, even if you're making $25 an hour today and you're working 40 hours a week, right? Going to the store to buy, you know, or going out to eat and spending $25 on McDonald's, it's pretty freaking pricey. You know, for two people, I don't know, it's just crazy. I mean, back in the day, I don't know how many times we'd be cruising around in cars, you know, when you're in your teen years and then into my 20s, and it's just like, you know, you'd be, hey, let's just go stop over at Burger King, let's go stop at Taco Bell, let's stop at McDonald's and just grab a burger and some fries. $5, less than $5. You know, I remember getting double cheeseburgers for $1.25. I mean, it was just, actually, not that long ago, over at our McDonald's, like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, you could go get a triple cheeseburger. Not that I should eat a triple cheeseburger. You get a triple cheeseburger for $3. Double cheeseburger was $2. A cheeseburger was $1. You know, you had dollar menus. All that stuff's gone. All of it's gone. And that's why I don't go to those places anymore. It doesn't have anything to do with the fact of whether or not the food's good for you or not. I can't frickin' afford to go to McDonald's on a regular basis, buy fast food on a regular basis, let alone go to a sit-down restaurant. Yeah, so I don't go out to eat much, if not any. Once in occasionally, just occasionally, and I try to go somewhere where I'm going to get, you know, some bang for my buck, or better food or whatever. But I guess that just goes down the road for all, you know, going out. That's why I don't go out. You know, I don't go to movies anymore. I don't go to, you know, there's nothing at the malls, nothing at the, you know, you can go, our Target's gone in Bay City. We still go to the Walmart. It's just like, okay. It's like, all right. Then they have a couple of things you might want, but I mean, it's just, yeah, like I said, it doesn't have the excitement it had back then. And I don't know, if you were to take 50-year-old me and if you took 50-year-old me, I would probably be about this guy here in the white shirt. That's probably how old I'd be today. That guy's probably 50. He's probably 48. No, yeah, he's probably in his 60s. But I'm just saying, it's funny when you see guys like this. You're like, oh, sorry, you can't even see what I'm talking about. I keep doing that. This guy here with the glasses case in the old front pocket there, pants hiked up to his armpits, got the sleeveless white dress shirt on. Yeah. He's probably in his late 50s, early 60s there, but I mean I'm not very much younger than this guy. I'm going to be there for a lot faster than you think I am. I put my glasses case in my pocket, my coat. I'm sure he doesn't have a cell phone in his pocket either. I also don't have orangutan hairy arms like this guy. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting weird now. Anyways, I get very judgmental and hypercritical. I love to people watch. I love looking at people. I like watching and seeing what the hell's that person doing. Yeah, I like a good crowd. And you know what's funny? We stopped at Sam's Club this weekend here, because my son's grandpa needed to get coffee. He likes to buy his, you know, he's an old guy, drinks, you know, 1,000 pots of coffee a day at like 11 o'clock at night in the middle of the summer when it's 98 degrees. He needs he's got jeans on, it's 98 degrees out, it's got a coat on. He needs 1,000 cups of coffee at 11 o'clock at night, and then he falls asleep 5 minutes later. Old people. What was I saying? Oh yeah, we were at the Sam's Club. Sam's Club was pretty dang busy. I wasn't this busy, but it was pretty busy. And I don't know. It was a weird crowd. Again, Sam's Club, I don't. Costco's okay. My sister comes to town and go to Costco. Actually, a lot of my pants and stuff. I think this jacket's from Costco. I don't mind their stuff, but I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to spend. I don't need to buy $15 and 27.99 in pickles. I don't need I don't need that many pickles. Um, I just the buying in bulk thing is just. I guess that is the like you see. Sorry, I can't see the picture, but you see those people in those photographs. They're all going to Kmart. I guess that today is the going to Costco where go to Costco on a Saturday. Since around Christmas time, it is packed. I mean, hell, like it's impossible to get a parking. It's an SUV battleground in that parking lot, all with their emissions-controlled cars, so it doesn't smell like exhaust. Nobody smokes in the store. But yeah, you get in there, and it's packed as wall-to-wall people in there. It's still fun to people watch. But yeah, as far as the products and stuff, I mean, I guess if I felt like dumping $200-300, which I don't. Buy sockeye salmons or whatever, wild caught salmons on sale, blah blah blah. I need a shit ton of product A and product B, and I need a lot of it. I don't know. I'm sure when I go down for Easter, I'm sure we're gonna end up probably going to Costco. And I think you could eat at Costco just like you could eat at this little place. This one's cool 70s crazy as the Kmart one, but and just I'll wrap up here, but I'm not going to talk about it extensively, but we had Kresge's in town, like I said, and our Kresge's was basically like a mini Kmart. They had a lot of the same product, but just not half the size, like a quarter of the size of a Kmart was a Kresge's. It was usually in a strip mall. And it had a cafe in the very back, like the back wall was a cafe, or a little grill or whatever, and they had like the bar stools, the spinny bar stools you could sit, not like the tables and stuff at the bigger place. And you could get records, you could get yarn up the yin yang, you get thatch hook kits, you could get 8 tracks, you could get needles for your turntable, you could get Star Wars X-Wings. They had all this stuff, they just didn't have as much. But it was all owned by Kresge's. It was all the same product, pretty much. I don't think there was anything... They might have had things that were exclusive to Kresge's and Kmart, respectively only. I don't know. I don't think exclusive stuff was really a thing back then. Maybe it was. I don't know. Yeah, like I said, been wanting to do this video on Kmart for a while, just to kind of talk about the stores of old, and, And like I said, when I saw these pictures, like I said, I was just like, it just took me right back. I could smell the cigarette smoke in the grill and the frozen cherry Cokes, and I could smell all that stuff, and I could see the blue lights flashing and the whole 9 yards, But, alright, I'll wrap this one up. So, remember, like and subscribe if you like. Tell me your stories. More stories, the better. Like I said, let's keep this an open dialogue. Let's talk about, what you think about back then. Do you remember any? Were you alive then? Were you my age? Were you older than me? Younger than me? Do you remember any of this stuff? Tell me some of your fond memories and stuff. Or tell me it's like, oh, I'm so glad it's not 1978 anymore. Everything's so much better now. It is. Anyways, I will catch you on the next video. So take care. All right, bye bye.